Welcome to Inside the Bleachers. The beginning of the MLB season is now underway, and we are ready to dive into this episode of baseball. Alongside co-host Ryan Patota and Deshaun Williams, I'm your host, Andrew Knoll, and let's jump into this week's episode. Let's jump into the first segment of this episode. This week in baseball, obviously it's opening week and a lot to talk about. Let's start off with pitcher injuries. That's been a major problem in the last couple of seasons. Not only this season, but a couple of seasons. But we have some major pitchers missing time. Sean Manaea and George Kirby first. We'll talk about them. They're going to miss the beginning of the season, and they're going to miss nearly 2 months of the season. I mean, for the Mets, we know how big this is. And for Seattle, both of these teams are good enough to make a run. How do you think this impacts them and their teams?
Well, it brutally impacts, especially the Mets. I mean, you got to, we call people from the minors. I mean, Clay Holmes is going to be starting for them, which is, they turned them into a starter, which is kind of crazy to say. We'll see how that works out, but these injuries are going to be brutally impacting the team. Manaea's going to be out at least a month. I mean, maybe it's a good thing they're happening early in the season and not maybe later when you need them, but, I mean, it's just brutal. Just absolutely brutal.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, right? Like, early on in the season, maybe it's not a bad thing, from a Mets standpoint, right? It's not a bad thing for them if this happens early on. You just don't want it to happen down the stretch. But, like, if you're the Mariners and you're looking at, like, a George Kirby injury, like, he started every game last year, and that was huge. And now you just lost him for at least 5 or 10 of those starts that he probably would have given you, where he would have given you a quality outing. So that hurts for the Mariners, a team that already kind of struggles in that pitching department in the lower half of the rotation, and that doesn't have necessarily the best bats in the league per se. So yeah, that hurts for them.
Yeah, George Kirby would have been their opening day starter too. Logan Gilbert will be their opening day starter, and as you mentioned, Clay Holmes for the Mets. Those are the two big ones, but they will be back. The difference with Garrett Cole, he is going to miss the entirety of the 2025 season. He's going to have Tommy John, I believe. And, I mean, for the Yankees, in a year that this was a good year, they had a great offseason. They are coming back from being defending AL pennant winners. This is just a massive blow to the Yankees. Garrett Cole, I mean, the injuries in general for the Yankees are already starting to pile up, but it's no Garrett Cole. That's the biggest news for the New York Yankees.
Yeah, it is the biggest news. I mean, maybe they knew something going into this offseason that Garrett Cole was kind of hurt already, because they went out there and they signed an ace, Max Fried. So maybe that tells something. I mean, but this is just a major blow, like you said. They're going to need some pitchers to step up. I know Will Warren made the roster, so he's going to have to step up. I know he's a highly anticipated prospect for them, so we'll see what happens there. But these injuries are going to be really important again.
Will Warren had just abysmal stats last season.
Boy.
He was not good at all. He just really struggled at the major league level. So we'll see how that affects him especially. I mean, last year Luis Gil stepped up.
Yeah,
he stepped up. So I guess it's trying to find another guy like that to step up. But that's gonna be hard for the Yankees.
Yeah, that's difficult. I agree with you to some point on, like, the Yankees knowing about the injury.
yeah.
Cole was struggling. He said he had elbow discomfort last spring training. He said this. This was made public to the Yankees. The Yankees knew about this. They just waved that off, right? And he pitched very well, obviously. He's Garrett Cole, for crying out loud, right? He didn't get injured. Well, actually, no, he did get injured, but you know what I mean. He didn't.
Right.
He didn't miss a lot of time.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So with them ignoring that, you ignored an injury on a 32-year-old arm that's been doing this for 10 years, over 10 years at this point now, at the major league level. And now this year, he's 33. Well, now the age has caught up with him, and the surgery that he probably should have gotten last year, which would have only kept him out 1 or 2 months, maybe 3 at the most, has now kept him out for the whole season, and now you're without your ace. Now, where I disagree is with the Max Fried signing. I still stand by that the Max Fried signing was a overhaul thing to replace Juan Soto and make the team better in all around directions. Now, you guys are right. Somebody's going to have to step up. Will you find another Luis Gil? Probably not. I'm just being honest. Probably not. Especially since you've already traded away most of your pitching prospects in the Juan Soto deal, which obviously didn't work out for you too well. But, man, it's going to be a tough time in New York this season.
Yeah, they're going to really struggle to find a solid rotation. And, of course, with Carlos Rodon being their opening day starter, that could be a wild card.
How far are you falling? Just how far are you falling?
Yeah, but you're right. Good point on Max Fried, definitely, because, again, he's a
They go to plan B.
important starter for them, and we'll see how that plans out. Other injuries, Giancarlo Stanton, he's up in the air whether or not he's going to be playing. Obviously, the injury history with him is very extensive. He's questionable out of the equation. Granted, they brought in guys that could replace the spot, I guess, because he's a DH spot. He's been stuck in that spot for the last couple of years, hasn't played the outfield much and consistently since either early in his Yankee career or back in Miami, which is going back many years now. What are we thinking now that we've seen a full spring of Cody Bellinger, Paul Goldschmidt, Judge, the Yankees in general? They're without Cole. They're a question mark on Stanton. Luis Gil is out for the beginning of the season as well, so the injuries are already killing them. What do we think about the 2025 New York Yankees?
Well, they're going to be, I know he struggled in the outfield, but Jason Dominguez, I mean, you're going to have probably a full season of him, so we'll see how that plays out for the Yankees. I mean, obviously they're only getting hit hard with injuries. We'll see if they sign anybody else in free agency. I know if they're looking for DH, they have JD Martinez. I know he's old, but he's still available out there if they want looking for a DH person. But yeah, I mean, in a very competitive division too, with Boston getting better, and Baltimore, of course, they lost, a couple of huge players to their team with Corbin Burns and Santan there. They won't be looking to stay the same, but they're still the Orioles, and then, of course, I mean, you got a lot competitive in that division, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Paul Goldschmidt. I mean, if there's one thing that I think Paul Goldschmidt can forever do, it's hit a baseball.
Yeah.
So
100%.
Yep.
I was never worried about that. Cody Bellinger is where I got worried. Right? Obviously, he's not MVP Belly anymore, but he also wasn't Cody Bellinger that we saw 2 years ago when he first got to Chicago and he figured it out and became more of a doubles machine and hit for contact and wasn't trying to just kill the ball every time he got up there. I saw flashes of MVP Belly in spring training. I'm not going to lie. I did. Does it make me excited that maybe he'll come, maybe MVP Belly will be back? Actually, kind of, yeah, because short porch, you know what I mean? So some of those balls are going to carry out. So, MVP Belly could be back to a degree. I don't think that he should just go up there and be trying to mash the ball to the short porch, obviously. But,
right, yep.
But, if he comes in with the same mindset that he's been coming in with spring training at bats with, yeah, we're going to see. I feel like this is the first time we'll see a mix between first-year Chicago Belly and MVP Belly.
Yankees lineup as it stands, looking at their active roster currently, Austin Wells behind the plate. I think Austin Wells, very underrated catcher, young catcher. He's in his, I believe now, second full season in the major leagues. He is going to be good. He has some pop to his bat. Plus, behind the plate, he's pretty good behind the plate. From watching from stuff last year, of course, around the infield, you have Goldie, I'm assuming you're going to have LeMahieu potentially in there at first. Ben Rice will probably get some time at first, giving Goldie some off days here and there throughout the season. Goldie's going to be in there a lot, obviously. Second base is where you're a little bit more questionable. Of course, you have LeMahieu. They lost Gleyber Torres during the offseason in Detroit. But you have LeMahieu, you have Oswaldo Cabrera, Oswald Peraza. You have a couple guys that are pretty utility, can fill in there. So second base, I feel like, is a little more questionable. Obviously, Volpe is gonna be the definite shortstop, and Jazz, I would assume, it would be third base.
Or Jazz moves to second.
Jazz moves to second. Who
Jazz moves
is
to
DJ at third, or have Cabrera or Peraza, I guess, at third?
I would say Cabrera or Peraza. Let those two battle it out for who gets the starting third base spot and move Jazz back to second.
Interesting there. And then, of course, you have the outfield of Cody, Judge, and either Trent Grisham or Jason Dominguez.
Come on, dude. That's don't even do that. I know the kid's struggling in spring training, but we're not even going to do that.
Mm-hmm. Trent Grisham. Oh, boy. And then, as it stands on their active roster, Giancarlo Stanton, but the question mark of how much he's going to play and if he's going to be ready for opening day and all of that. Staying in the AL East, Max Scherzer is back to a semi-dominant form. It is spring training, though. Thoughts on what you guys have seen from Max Scherzer in spring training, especially you, Ryan, as a Blue Jays fan?
Yeah, Max Scherzer, the only thing that's really holding him back is that he's complaining of thumb pain, that my thumb hurts afterwards. He has a good start, Last week, I forget who was against. I think it might have been even Minnesota. He had a really good start. But next day, it's the after effects of it. And he complained of, my thumb hurts. And that's what's been bothering me for the last couple of years. If his thumb is bothering him, that's a problem going forward. He said it goes away while he pitches, but then it comes back like during the recovery process. Now, if you're Max Scherzer, that's going to play a massive impact. I know he had a good start, I think, on Sunday. I forget what team they played. But he didn't have any after effects, at least as far as I know. For now, maybe it'll happen later on if he has any more effects from the pitching. He had, I think, 5 good innings, and he didn't have any pain. Now, could that be coming back later on? We don't know, but that's the risk the Blue Jays took when signing him, is that he's up there in age, and he's got a big injury history. So they're going to have to figure out. Maybe they go to a 6-man rotation and maybe give him more off days. I mean, that's going to be a plan they're going to have to play with for this season. Not a good gamble if it's going to be deal with injuries like that. But the ceiling can be really good, too, if he's going to be dominant, because that's what he can get up to, but the problem is it can have a big effect to him.
Yeah, 1.38 ERA, 4 games he started off for, 13 innings, 18 strikeouts, a whip of .46, excuse me. 40 years old, so of course he's going to obviously start feeling it. That's the big thing. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, it's like you said, he's 40, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm even seeing like signs of, Steven Strasburg a little bit, right? He had nerve damage that he dealt with. He's coming off of back surgery, thumb pain, right?
Yeah.
All these things,
too.
All these things are things that guys would have taken care of years ago, right? I can see why he doesn't want to take care of the thumb problem, because he's afraid he has to get surgery, right? And he has to miss another season. And at that point, he's forced to retire at that point, right?
Yeah.
So I understand it. But at the same time, this doesn't work out for the Blue Jays. Well, if he does this lingering thing, right? It didn't work out well for the Nationals when Strasburg was going through his stuff, right? I remember when they announced it. They said, "Oh, Steven Strasburg's back." I said, "Bet, I'm gonna watch that game. I'm ready." The 2019 World Series MVP is back. Came in, gave up 6 runs, came out the game. I said, "Okay, that's fine." It's a first start. 10 minutes later, I got a notification that said Steven Strasburg was going back on the IL. I couldn't believe it. And I'm seeing the same thing with Max. He's going to get injured this year. It's inevitable. He's 40 years old. He's got lingering pain. If you're expecting him to go out there and give you 33 quality starts, hell no, that's not happening. There's no chance that's happening. So is he back? Yeah, he's back, Be back for a good 10 or 15 games. And he's back on the shelf. And then next thing you know, you're getting New York Mets Max Scherzer instead of the Max Scherzer that we all know.
Right. Yeah. So we'll have to see. We'll have to keep up with Max Scherzer as he begins the 2025 season this week and see how that goes. Going back to, we were talking about the New York Mets when we talked about Sean Manaea being injured, Clay Holmes being their starter. They are injured and having to deal with a lot of things right now, too. The Mets are without their starting catcher, Francisco Alvarez, who is a very good catcher, and that's a huge loss. Kodai Senga is back. He is not their opening day starter. Thoughts on him not being over and Clay Holmes being over him?
I mean, Clay Holmes has had a successful spring training, but, is he really going to be a starter? I mean, it just feels so weird to hear Clay Holmes as a starter for the New York Mets. I mean, as I know he did well. I know they tried to transition to him, but, is it going to really work out? I mean, we shall see. I mean, there's not really much to say, other than it was spring training, but how is this transitioned into the regular season?
What are we doing? What are we actually doing? This guy's a closer. What are we doing? What are we actually doing? Is Mariano Rivera going to come out of retirement and, start opening day instead of Carlos Rodon for the Yankees? Why? Kodai Senga had one of the most impressive rookie years that we've seen in recent memory. And I understand he had an injury, a really devastating injury last year that kept him out for the whole entire year. I understand that. I get that. But you're desperate at this point. You lost Sean Manaea for opening day. You're actually desperate. So you need to give Kodai Senga as many reps as he can in spring training to get everything under control. I mean, I saw the highlights of Clay Holmes' last start, I believe. His pacing was horrible. We're in the third inning and guy's already at 50 pitches. He's about to be run out of the game in spring training. He's facing the prospect team. What are the real hitters going to do against him?
Right, yeah.
So I would have done everything in my absolute power to get Kodai Senga ready for opening day. And if Kodai Senga goes out there on opening day and he gives up 5 runs, fine. We live with that. But at least I didn't go out there and put a closer on the mound.
And on top of that, they let Jose Quintana walk to the Brewers, too.
Yeah. That Mets offseason was a little... So we talked about the Yankees and what they're going to do, or what the predictions and stuff and whatnot. What about the Mets? They got Juan Soto. That's obviously the big thing. He's got to stay healthy, and that's always a big question mark with anybody, especially when you get a big contract and everything there. He's got to play well. What about the Mets? What do we think about the Mets? Alvarez is out 6 to 8 weeks due to a fractured left hand. That won't help when he comes back, because that's for a catcher especially. That's a massive injury.
Yeah.
But what do we think about the 2025 Mets?
The Mets, their ceiling is going to be their offense. Their pitching is going to be subpar, and their offense is going to be the step up. I know they re-signed Pete Alonso. They got Juan Soto, as you mentioned, but I know Brett Baty's had a really good spring training for himself. We'll see how that transitions to the regular season. But they're going to need to score a lot of runs, the Mets do, and how that impacts, I know they're going to they got to score a lot of runs. That's for sure. They're not going to do well pitching-wise.
For the next 5 to 7 years, it is championship or bust for this franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
has to be with the type of contracts that they have going on right now.
Ridiculous.
Every year I'm expecting the Mets to win the NL East and to go to the World Series. That is everything that I'm expecting for the next 5 to 7 years from this team. There are no excuses, right? I don't blah blah. the pitching, we knew their pitching wasn't great. Okay.
Yeah.
We knew this coming in. So that's already off the tables as an excuse for why the Mets struggled. It's because of their pitching. No, we knew their pitching was trash. We knew it. But this offense, this is gonna be great. It's not like you lost Francisco Alvarez for the whole year.
No, he's gonna be back.
He's gonna
early
be back,
June.
and he's going to be good. He borderline will probably end the season as a top 3 catcher in the MLB. So you'll have a top 3 catcher who will ascend to being the best catcher in the majors at one point. You will have still a top 5 shortstop, and you will have the best hitter in baseball still on your roster. There is actually no excuse for not winning at least 1 or 2 championships in the next 5 to 7 years. There's no excuse.
Yeah, we'll see how they start off early in the season. Of course, last year started off ungodly and came all the way back to go to the NLCS, and very different team than last year in some aspects. And again, like you said, championship level team they have for years to come with different contracts and whatnot. Opening day Thursday. Before we get to your biggest thing you want to see on opening day and opening weekend, let's talk about briefly the new ABS system and some of the thoughts that you both have on that, and how it's been working / if it's not been working in spring training.
I like it. I think it's going to be up to. I think next season it's probably going to be implemented to the majors because they kept on testing in the minors the past couple of seasons, and they implemented last season and the entire duration of this spring training once again this season. So you're going to probably see it next season in the majors. I like that you get 3 challenges. I don't know if they're going to tweak that at all, but I don't think they would. But I think three challenges is fine because you're going to have to savor your challenges when you need it the most. So it'll be strategizing-wise for managers to, or I should say players, with how they want to do that. And, I mean, it's going to be something that everybody's going to have to get used to. But it's either that or entirely robot umpires. But I feel like the system would work. That's my thoughts.
Angel Hernandez, count your days, buddy. Get ready to pack your bags. I love it. I love the new ABS system. I like robo umps. Don't need them anymore.
Exactly.
Like
Right, exactly.
the ABS system literally just saved every umpire's job in the league.
It's proven that, hey, there will be some ones, but the system just fixed it, so now there's no more.
Yeah. I can't wait for them to implement it into the majors probably next year.
Yes.
Right? And I can't wait to see how managers play around with this, right? You only get 3. So not everyone's going to have access to it, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, your 3-hole will probably have access to it. But what about your leadoff guy? Do you want your leadoff guy to have access to that when it's, when it comes down to it? Who else gets access to it? Does your 5-hole get access to it? Does your 4-hole? Maybe even your 9-hole, depending on the kind of strategies that you're running out there. Who gets access to it?
And then on the opposite side, when it comes to getting access to it, does your pitcher or does only your catcher? Right, exactly. So that's a really good point as well, and it's going to be really interesting. I like the point that you made with the managers because baseball is a game of strategy, and this just makes it even like more fun to watch because it makes it like let's try to strategize and figure out what to do when it comes to the new ABS system and how to manipulate that in a positive way and whatnot. Before we move on, opening day on Thursday, as mentioned, one thought and what you want to see from this opening weekend. Go ahead, Ryan.
Well, one thing I want to see from this opening weekend is what team should say what does the Baltimore Orioles look like without Santander and without Corbin Burns, because they're going to have an entire new starting rotation. Basically, and they're going to get Batista back. Felix Batista, he'll be back closing games. It seems like the Orioles, they're going to get everybody healthy again, and how does that impact their team? They're going to, as I mentioned earlier, it's going to be a very competitive division. What does Boston look like? the Yankees, with all their injuries that they're dealing with already, I'm sure there's going to be even more. What are the Orioles going to look like? Because that is one team that I've been questioning all offseason. And I don't know if they're doing enough. How is that going to be impacted? I think that's one thing I'm interested in seeing.
I'm going to be a little biased here. I just want to see Mackenzie Gore go out there and prove why he still has Cy Young potential. This is it. This is it for him, right? He's up there. I think he's 26, 27, something like that. And he's been named the opening day starter. He's the ace of the Nationals. And he sets the tone on opening day. On Thursday, he sets the tone for how the 2025 Nationals will perform. Will they be a wild card team? Or will they shit the bed? It's all up to Mackenzie Gore. And that's what I think I look forward to most.
That's the biggest thing about opening day. And in a lot of ways, the fun thing about opening day is who sets the tone for each team. There's always one player who sets the tone. And usually it's the opening day starter, but there's also hitters on the team, some of the star guys, some of the guys we don't realize until opening day comes around. And they're like, okay, this is this team. This is how they look like. After all the offseason, all the talking about it, here it is, 2025 baseball. For 2025, we'll move to our highlight section, and we'll take a look at some potential MVP candidates and then we'll give some thoughts on who will win MVP and is their dark horse candidates. Starting off with on the AL side with Bobby Witt Jr. Obviously, he's a very, very heavy favorite to win AL. Nearly won it last year. Judge did outdo him in a lot of his stats, but I mean, it's between his power, his speed, and yes, the defense, because he can play some good defense at shortstop. Talk about Bobby Witt Jr. as an AL favorite.
I'm tired of these free throw merchants. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, I'm looking at you. But there's also a free throw merchant, per se, in baseball. And his name is Aaron Judge. Yes, he just started hitting 300, okay? Yes, Aaron Judge just realized that there's more to baseball than hitting home runs, okay? But I don't care. Bobby Witt should have won MVP last year, and he's going to win MVP this year. I will fight everyone who is against me on this. If I hear Aaron Judge in the MVP conversation one more time, I don't care if he breaks Barry Bonds' record. I don't care. This guy can turn into Tony Gwynn, and I will still give the MVP to Bobby Witt Jr.
He's the greatest small ball guy in baseball. I mean, if you want small ball, that's Bobby Witt Jr. I mean, the reason why Aaron Judge got MVP is the power. The power apparently it's clear by the voters and everyone that power overcomes, small ball. Because Bobby Witt is a really good small ball hitter. If you want a base hit, you want a double, you got people on base. That's what Bobby Witt does. And I can see him winning MVP, especially with the team the Royals got. And that's another division that'll be interesting, the AL Central. You got three teams in there that could see winning the division. And then the White Sox. But anyways, you want a small ball hitter? That's Bobby Witt for you.
With the Royals, yeah, definitely. It's been it's definitely a high possibility of Bobby Witt winning it, especially with the Royals if he leads them to win the division, to put themselves in a good playoff spot and everything there. Of course, Judge is obviously up there. He had a big home run in Cleveland in the playoffs last year. But he wasn't. The thing also with Judge was he wasn't like crazy either, because he did not play well in the playoffs. He did that and maybe one other big play, but other than that, we don't really know. Like, Judge is good, but it's hitting, and he hits home runs, like you said. We'll have to see there. Gunnar Henderson, our next one on the AL, obviously an insane defensive play right there. I believe his second season now in the major leagues. What do we think about Gunnar Henderson and his bid for the AL MVP?
Well, the thing is that bad news for Gunnar Henderson. He's going to start on the IL for the Baltimore Orioles. I mean, not a good start already with him being on the shelf for them in a interesting year that they're gonna have. I think Henderson. I mean, obviously he's got flashes of it, but can he stay healthy? I mean, what is his injury? I mean, how long is it gonna keep him out for? Because he will start on the IL with a shoulder injury, I believe he's dealing with. But I mean, how is he gonna impact coming out of injury, coming out off his injury?
At first, when I was thinking about this, I like to believe in like sophomore slumps. Like yes, they're a thing, but I believe everyone goes through a sophomore slump.
Mm-hmm.
Not him. Not Gunnar Henderson. I just don't think sophomore slumps exist with him. I've seen the highlights. I looked at the stats. This guy is already an MVP caliber player. And as far as if he can stay healthy, it's his second year. He's still in his 20s. I'm not even worried about that. I'll let this kid go out here and throw his shoulder out for another 5 years before I start worrying about if he can stay healthy or not. He'll be just fine. I have him as a dark horse, not my front runner, because Bobby Witt is my GOAT. My glorious GOAT, Bobby Witt, is how I'll refer to him from here on out for the rest of the season.
All right.
But Gunnar Henderson is going to be up there this year for sure in MVP voting, and he'll probably make it close with Bobby Witt and Aaron Judge. He'll probably be the third place getter in votes. So I absolutely look forward to seeing him this year and for the next 5 years.
Talking about sophomore slumps, another AL MVP, and this is more toward dark horse candidates. Wyatt Langford in the AL, he's going into his sophomore season. We saw Adolis Garcia in his sophomore season last year struggle. We saw Corbin Carroll as well on the NL side. Both of them didn't obviously have the seasons they had in their rookie years, and I mean, it's hard to top when you have an insane rookie year. But what about Wyatt Langford as a possible AL MVP and especially as a dark horse?
Well, I don't know if you would say dark horse, but he's kind of like Bobby Witt. In a way, like he's small ball hitter, should say. Can get some power in the air. I mean, the defensive wise, I don't know if he really has that, in him. I guess we'll find out as the season goes along. But how is he going to carry this Texas team? This Texas team really is built on Adolis Garcia. You got Langford in there to help, of course, but I feel like their focal point is Garcia, and that helps their team lead their way.
Yeah, MVP, he's not there yet. He's working towards it for sure.
Yeah.
He'll probably go through a kind of a slump, not as big as a slump as Corbin Carroll, obviously, but he'll go through it. Pitchers are still scouting for him and figuring his swing out a little bit, but yeah, he's just not there yet.
Yeah, and our final AL one we're going to talk about Rafi Devers, and they're calling him a dark horse. Is he more of a dark horse candidate, or is he a person that if he really gets it going, which we all know he can? It's going to be a little tougher this year, but we all know he very much can. Is he more of up there in that conversation, or is he a legitimate dark horse?
No, he's a dark horse. Yeah, no. His attitude is going to hinder him this year. Like how he was in spring training, how he acted with the whole third base and DH situation.
Yep.
Like that's going to play with his mental all year until they get that figured out or gets it the way that he wants it in the front office. Yeah, that's going to mess with his mind the whole year. And who knows? Maybe he'll prove us wrong, right? Maybe that'll motivate him. Maybe that'll make him a better player this year. Maybe he will take over and just become the MVP this year. But right now, I just don't see it, and I think that he'll be a dark horse because of that.
Yeah, he'll be a dark horse, especially because of the mentality that he's in. And where is he going to play most of the season? Is it going to be third base? Is it going to be probably DH, I guess? Because he's got the power to smash balls out of the ballpark. But where is he going to play? I mean, that'll be interesting to see how this Bregman, as you said, plays out during the season and what his mental wise, how is he gonna be playing.
On to the NL. We'll start off with obviously the reigning MVP and the favorite to win it again. Shohei Ohtani is already off to a good start after the Tokyo series, which we'll talk about a little in a bit as well. But Ohtani, for obvious reasons, is right back in there in the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, he had a 50-50 season. I mean, how can you not be right back in the conversation? He's one of those players that, I mean, he's like, wow. That's all you gotta say is wow. But yeah, he'll probably win it once again. I mean, the Dodgers got even better this year, or the offseason, I should say, and they're only off to a great start. So, I mean, the favorites are there. He'll probably win the MVP once again, and he might even be back in the pitching, which is going to help his odds even more in the MVP.
There's only one man who can save us from Ohtani. His name is Ronald Acuna Jr. Please stay healthy. Please. I know you have that 50-50
Right?
in you. I know he has 50-50 in him. Ohtani's not doing 50-50.
The stolen bases he's got easily. It's
Yeah.
can he get to 50 homers?
Oh, he's
Yeah.
got that trust. Acuna
He's got to
definitely
stay
got
healthy.
that power.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but no, Otani's not doing this. No, this isn't happening again. We're not doing this again, okay? Otani's a 30-30 at most this year, I think, okay? He'll obviously hit more than 30 home runs,
He'll
but
probably get to 40.
yeah, but he's only getting 30 bags this year. There's no way we're letting Shohei Ohtani get 50 bags again. It was impressive when he did it the first time, okay? But look at him. Does that look like a guy who's going to steal 50 bases? Bobby Witt looks like a guy who's going to steal 50 bases. Trey Turner looks like a guy who will steal 50 bases. I'm still shocked Trey Turner hasn't taken 50 bags in his career once, okay?
That is surprising.
Yeah. Ronald Acuna, it looks like a guy who could take 50 bases. Shohei Ohtani doesn't even look like he could get 20. I'm shocked he got to 50, okay?
Yeah.
So I'll give him 30, but that's about it. So please, Ronald Acuna, do me a favor and just stay healthy and take the MVP back. Please.
The other one, another one in the NL is Kyle Tucker. Now he's going from the Astros in the AL to the Cubs in the NL. He is up there. We'll see what kind of year he has in Chicago, but there's Kyle Tucker as a Cub. It seems like it's going to be a successful year for him.
Bryce Harper just don't exist no more? I'm just saying. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Kyle Tucker and all, but
Right, yeah.
I don't think he's an MVP candidate. I think he's a dark horse. I don't think he's a candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
He basically replaced Kyle Tucker, or he basically replaced Bellinger with Tucker. That's really what they did there. In an aspect.
A little bit. But, I mean, the Mookie Betts, the Bryce Harpers, the Juan Sotos, yeah, like, these are my MVP candidates.
Right.
I wasn't even thinking about Kyle Tucker. Respectfully to Kyle Tucker, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. I still love him. Great ball player. But I wasn't even thinking about Kyle Tucker for MVP.
Would you put Francisco Lindor over him in that?
I would even put Francisco Lindor over him. And that's hard for me. Not only because I'm a Nats fan, but
Yeah.
because I'm a certified Francisco Lindor hater. So, yeah, I'll even put Lindor over him.
And he literally just said last year he thinks he was MVP too.
What do we think about, as the last one we'll talk about for now, Ellie De La Cruz as either as a candidate, as a dark horse? Where do we put Ellie De La Cruz after a really good season he put together last year? He started off especially really strong with the stolen bases and then added it with the bat. He can make some good defensive plays. What do we think about Ellie De La Cruz?
Another guy who can steal 50 bases.
Oh, 100%. I mean, he stole 60, I think it was like 66 last season.
Exactly. Another guy who can do this.
67 stolen bases last season, 25 homers, 67 bases, which, I mean, when he's going, he, in a lot of ways, is the modern Ricky Henderson. If he wants to steal, he'll take the bag. And that's impressive. That's
Ricky
really,
Henderson
really impressive.
if Ricky Henderson had pop.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. As far as MVP, I want to say a dark horse for me personally,
I would
just
say
because
dunkers, too.
only because of all of the attention the national media is giving him. That's the only reason. I don't know if if what he produces this year, is it going to be enough for the media? Is everyone going to be like, yeah, that was a good season for Ellie, or is national media going to say, wish he could have done more, no matter what he puts out there?
Right.
And it's also he's on a mediocre team too. The Reds
That too.
are on top of that too. They're not like a big market team, I would say. That plays a role, of course, with MVP voting.
When you initially said mediocre team, I'm like, hold up. Granted, the NL Central is the worst division in baseball. That's fair. But the Reds are, in my opinion, should be favored to win the division because of their offseason signings and stuff. But at the same
You
time,
would think.
we know the NL Central. We know what happens with that because 2 years ago should have been, it was 2 years ago. There should have been the Reds, and they fell off the face of the earth, and I don't think they didn't even make the playoffs. So you never know with that. But
That's so unpredictable, that division.
Yeah. Yep. As well. All right, so we will transition now into our spotlight of the week. Make sure to check out the latest article on our website, linked in our social media bio. We will now move it over to Ryan to discuss more on our spotlight of the week, Matt Shaw.
Yeah, Matt Shaw from the Chicago Cubs. He was drafted 13th overall back in the 2023 MLB draft out of the University of Maryland, the only Power 5 school to give him an offer right out of high school. He set the program all-time home run record there at the University of Maryland with 53, and he was named the 2023 Big Ten Conference Player of the Year, and he got through the minors, skyrocketed through the minors after the last couple of years after being drafted, and got a spot for his opportunity when that happened because the Cubs, obviously, they traded Isak Paredes to the Astros, and the big trade with Kyle Tucker that was involved, and a lot of other players there as well. And they missed out. They were in on Alex Bregman, them, and the Detroit Tigers. They were in on Alex Bregman, and he decided to go to Boston. And that's when his spot opened up to, really, it was his spot to lose, Matt Shaw. And, he went in it. In spring training, he hit 227 and made his MLB debut. It was enough to make his MLB debut. Cubs talked highly of him, and he made his MLB debut in Tokyo against the Dodgers.
Yeah, as we see his first major league hit, not a very conventional one off the pitcher's glove, but hey, a hit nonetheless. And obviously a special moment for him. Then he comes around to score on a Dansby Swanson double. Cubs in the series in general couldn't really get the offense going. Again, we've talked about how good the Dodgers pitching will be. That's going to be that's been talked about all offseason and everything. But as you see, you're just off the glove. You really caught it. Would have kept him from getting his first major league hit. Matt Shaw, he's looking good. The 227 in spring training is definitely noticeably concerning. After obviously the minor leagues, he played very well, but there's a big difference in the minors and the majors. What do you think is going to happen as he starts to transition now into getting used to playing it in the major leagues?
I mean, he's probably going to have growing pains, obviously. He's going to have growing pains. I mean, he looks good defensively at third, but can you transition that to the back and make that consistent? Because that's going to be really important to for the future of the Chicago Cubs. If they try to look at third baseman, maybe he can play there. I think he can play second as well if they need him to. And obviously he can DH if they have to put him there as well. But he's really your future third infielder for the Chicago Cubs. So if he has some growing pains, maybe he has to go back. I mean, you saw last year with Jackson Holiday. He had growing pains when he first came up to the big leagues. And then after coming back, he had an impact. So maybe if Matt Shaw struggles a little bit, you got to wait and see and, play out that way. But we shall see how things play out for Matt Shaw in the future.
And you mentioned his defense. Two really nice plays. First one, it almost looked like the ball caught him instead of him catching the ball. But again, regardless, a nice play there, and then a nice diving play as well, as you see the first one where weird hop, in between hop almost, and he catches it. And on both, a little bit of a short throw, a little bit of a tough play. Still, regardless, right here the slow mo of him catching the ball, his head's kind of turning. But short hop both throws, and Michael Bush, great first baseman, big to help him out. But talk about how he can develop that and just work on. I mean, two really nice plays in your first two games,
That's why the Cubs spoke highly of him. I mean, the defensive plays. I mean, they said that they weren't surprised that they had to make the call that he was going to make the roster, because they could see it when they first got to him that he was going to be in the roster. I mean, he was the first round pick, so expectations were high for him, and he exceeded them. Now, how is that going to transition to the majors? We will see that going forward.
All right, so we'll have to keep an eye on Matt Char as he begins his major league career, and make sure to check out Ryan's article live now on InsideTheBleachers.com. We move into our final section, and as we begin the season, we always have to start and see how these go. Our hot takes of the season. We'll see how well they play out. Granted, I am feeling good about mine from... Well, okay, I don't know if this was a hot take last year when we talked about this, when I called the Royals were going to be good, they were going to make the playoffs. I don't know if that was necessarily a hot take, but
you didn't set the building on fire, but you.
But it's
you boiled the water.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, we'll see how this year plays out. We'll start off with Ryan, and let's hear it.
All right. My hot take is that the Cleveland Guardians will repeat as champions of the AL Central. I know that might not be a really hot take, but that division is really, that could go, really, you can honestly make an argument that it could potentially go 4 different ways. Tigers, I mean, obviously they came all the way back from the dead last year. They're well on their 500. The Royals, they made it one at it. I can see them doing it again. And then, of course, you got the Minnesota Twins. I know they had a disappointing season last season, but they can easily be a sleeper team and come back from the dead and do it again, like they did a couple of years ago. I think they were down a lot, but it's going to have to be their pitching. But I have the Guardians will win. I have the Guardians winning that division again. I think they repeat as champs.
Really?
Yep.
Over the Royals and the Tigers, though?
Mm-hmm.
And even the Twins, like, they're still solid. Like,
Minnesota still got something going.
That's what a hot take is for.
Really?
Cleveland wins the AL Central. Interesting. You know what? Because my hot take is that Detroit wins it, and Riley Green takes them to the divisional round. And host in the divisional round. I think the Tigers are gonna come out and really do what the Orioles couldn't.
You know what? I like that because I want Riley Green to actually do something for once.
Yeah.
So I actually like that. I hope that happens. Let's not waste another schoolball Cy Young season, please.
Right. Riley Green, by the way, is batting .302 in spring training. He's hit 2 homers. He's off to a good start, and he's been a consistently good player. And again, the Tigers have that spread out through. Obviously, last year offense was a problem, but it's growing pains, like you said earlier, with Matt Shaw. But I think the Tigers offense now will come out and really hit it. Like they're really gonna take off. Like you said, the AL Central is gonna be tough. It's great competition.
Yeah.
But I really think the Tigers are, and not only, winning the division is something else. I think that they're gonna be the 2. I think they're gonna host the divisional because in the AL West, so you'll have whoever wins the AL East is going to be the 1, and I would pretty much say the 2 and 3, I think the AL Central is stronger than the AL West.
Are you kidding me? Are you really?
Yeah.
Second
100%.
seed? Really?
Yeah. Because the second division winner.
The Tigers.
Yeah.
You had me with the division. Now you've lost me.
Wow.
The Tigers.
That's why.
Yes, we're going back to
The
20
Detroit Tigers.
We're going back to 2012 Detroit Tigers. We're going back to those days.
With Riley Green leading the charge.
Yes.
Oh, so we're burning houses with these hot takes. Because Riley Green would have to turn into a dark horse candidate for MVP for this to happen. So Riley Green is just going to be a dark horse this year, basically. That's essentially what you're saying.
And you're going to have an outstanding pitching. You're going to have a repeat.
Yeah, and
season
Spencer Torkelson's going to hit 30 home runs this year, too. Yeah, that's what you're saying at this point.
This is Spencer Torkelson's last chance. He's on his last lens. I think
Flaherty back together.
you have Flaherty and Scooble.
Yeah.
Like,
Casey
I
Mize,
don't think
to
it's
have a
that.
bounce back year.
I mean, it's crazy in some ways, but I don't think it's that crazy.
a 2 seed
Yes.
with Flaherty
Who-
as your number 2?
Who in the AL West is topping them? If the Tigers win the Central, who tops them in the AL West?
I'll tell you who tops them in the AL West. Hold on. This is... Oh, they're just burning buildings. Hi. Yeah. The Mariners, we still exist. Yeah,
Yes.
we're a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got MVP candidates too. Our pitching is
Texas.
definitely up there. Hi, yeah. Rangers, yeah. We are still a thing.
They didn't just win a World Series and go away. I mean, they did for a year, but they'll be back.
That's about as far as I'll go with that. But yeah, those two teams are still a
Fair.
thing.
And Houston. Can't always count them out.
Nah.
I don't think you can count them out though. Like to be honest, and like if they
I
do,
want them to
they're
fall
not going to
off,
be
but-
they're not going to be as high as they have been. 'Cause
Nah,
that's-
I got it.
I don't know.
Nah, I got to count Houston out of this one. They could get second in the division, but to win the division,
They said that
That's
last.
me.
Everybody said that
Tough.
last year.
Yeah,
Everybody was
I
like,
said it.
Houston
I
is
said
out of
they're
the
gonna
playoffs,
suck.
and they won the division once again.
if they win the division, his hot take stands.
That's what I'm saying.
Therefore, I can't accept that Houston will win the division.
Fair enough.
You're just setting up that the AL is going to be really poor this year, I guess, in a way.
That's not necessarily true. That just means the Tigers have to beat out everybody in the Central, and the AL West can't be as strong as it
Usually is.
should be. On paper, it should be, but all right. Let's hear yours.
I'm ready to set the building on fire.
Okay,
Here we
okay.
go.
Let's do it.
Aaron Judge will not be enough to get the Yankees in the playoffs, and the Yankees will miss the postseason.
Wow.
Oh.
Okay. That's
Oh,
That's-
based off all their injuries, too, on top of that.
yeah. No,
And
I'm.
who gets in over them? That's the
well,
interesting part.
What
There are
would
plenty of teams that will
what
get
would
in
be
over them.
what would be the bracket in the AL if the Yankees don't make it?
I gotta believe the Orioles have to. They have to, right? Like the Orioles have to
They
take
have
the
to,
one.
right?
They
Like, they're
have to
gonna-
take the one.
Oh, take the one.
Yeah, I think they have to take the one.
Oh, I thought Boston.
I just don't see it. I get Garrett Crochet is there
As like especially with the 1 seed too.
yeah, but I just don't believe in the Bregman signing and Trevor Story's bound to get injured again.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't believe Boston. Boston's gonna lose it. Like at the very end, at the very end of the season, the wheels will fall off, and the Orioles are gonna take that 1 seed and take the division.
Yeah, Orioles take the division. You have the other two divisions. Who are your wild card teams? Does Boston get in as a wild card over
Well, they're going to have to be.
the AL over AL Central teams and probably only one, if any, AL West teams?
Boston's gonna take out one of the Central teams for sure.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the West,
Like,
The West is so bleak, though.
is the AL West a only division winner makes the playoffs this year?
I think so. Yeah, it's between the Rangers, Seattle, and because I can't let your hot take stand, that's it.
Oakland coming out of nowhere.
They don't even have a home.
They don't even have a team name or a team.
That's true. I'm sorry, they're not even Oakland anymore. That's we gotta start a jar in here and how many times.
Your over under this year is how many times the announcer says Oakland. Because that's gonna get said a lot. Or Sacramento.
They're not gonna say. Well, they can say Sacramento as long as they're not referring to the team. They just can't say. Yeah.
These guys don't have a name. They don't have a home. And now you want them to make the playoffs? They failed the first 2 steps of making a team.
Name and place.
Yeah, no. It's Seattle or Texas. That's it.
Seattle didn't get better this offseason either. That wise. Even Justin Turner said it himself.
Well, J-Rod is my dark horse for MVP. So
I say J-Rod is J-Rod's J-Rod.
J-Rod will be enough.
J-Rod's J-Rod.
J-Rod
Hopefully
in the
stay
rotation
healthy
will
this year.
Be enough.
Yeah, well, that's always a question for everybody.
Yeah.
So that will do it for this week's episode. A lot to digest there, as well as opening week. Starting Thursday, going to be a lot of fun. Lots to recap next week when we get through opening weekend. Make sure to follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out the website for all of our content with the 2025 baseball season now in full swing. For Ryan, Deshaun, and I, we'll see you next week.